Imagine watching your wife get handcuffed on a quiet street, her only crime being black in the wrong zip code. But when she made one call to her husband, everything the officers thought they knew about power, justice, and who really runs this town came crumbling down. Stay with us till the end of this story, because what happens next will leave you speechless. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now for more true stories that challenge everything you thought it was supposed to be just another routine evening for Alanna Pierce, a 33-year-old black attorney who had just wrapped up a grueling day in court defending a wrongfully accused teenager in a high-profile case. Wearing a smart navy pantsuit and carrying her leather briefcase, she exited the courthouse just as the sun began its descent behind the buildings of downtown Atlanta. She was still deep in thought about closing arguments when she realized she'd parked her car a few blocks away. The streets were thinning out and the air smelled like rain. As she passed a storefront that had recently been vandalized, two white police officers, Officer Brent Malloy and Officer Darren Kessler, pulled up beside her in a squad car. They didn't ask questions, just stepped out and demanded she stop. Walking, confused but calm, Alanna asked if there was a problem. "You match the description," Officer Malloy grunted. When she identified herself as an attorney and asked what this was about, Officer Kessler grabbed her arm, twisted it, and forced her down onto the pavement. "Stop resisting," he shouted. Alanna didn't resist. Her briefcase was kicked away. Her phone cracked against the concrete, and bystanders began filming. "You're under arrest for loitering and suspicious behavior," one of the officers sneered, clearly improvising. In handcuffs, dirt on her cheek, she looked up through tears and demanded her one call. They laughed, but handed her a working phone. She called her husband and simply said, "Marcus, ... They got me." Again, the line went quiet. The cops smirked. What they didn't know was that Marcus wasn't just any husband. He was Marcus Xavier Pierce, a retired four-star general, Harvard Law graduate, and now head of the DOJ's Civil Rights Division with direct ties to the White House. And this arrest, it was about to make as Marcus hung up the phone in his D.C. office. He was already moving. He didn't yell, he didn't curse. He simply pressed a button that dialed directly into the office of the Inspector General. Then he pulled out a folder he hoped he'd never need. Protocol read, "Local law enforcement breach." Within 20 minutes, two black Suburbans rolled out from the DOJ complex, while Marcus boarded a secure jet under military clearance. Meanwhile, Alanna sat bruised in the back of a police cruiser, watching her dignity get erased in real time. One of the officers mocked her for acting like a lawyer, while the other made derogatory remarks about her ethnicity and attitude. What neither of them noticed was that their body cams were livened due to an internal DOJ patch issued months ago to increase transparency in high-bias zones. Those feeds were now syncing directly to Marcus's secure channel. In real time, several department heads, including the assistant AG and a federal judge, were watching the abuse unfold. By the time the squad car reached the station, a federal injunction was already being drafted, and the officers were being tracked like suspects. Back at the precinct, they fingerprinted Alanna roughly, tossed her into a holding cell, and didn't let her speak. One officer bragged about how they broke another uppity type today. When shift change came, the desk sergeant recognized her name but didn't act fast enough. Just before midnight, the precinct was surrounded. FBI agents, federal marshals, and DOJ attorneys entered the building with warrants in hand. "Where is Mrs. Alanna Pierce?" they demanded. Officers laughed until they saw Marcus Pierce enter the room in a full, formal military uniform, medals gleaming, voice like thunder. "I am here for my wife, and I am here for accountability." Began ringing, cameras rolled, and everything the precinct thought they controlled was now being examined under the nation's microscope. Overnight, the story exploded. News networks aired footage of the arrest, the handcuffing, and the bruises. Social media trended with hashtags. Hashtag Justice for Alana, hashtag Wrong Woman, Wrong Move, and hashtag Pierce Power. The nation was divided again, but this time the stakes were higher because the woman they tried to silence had spent her career helping families victimized by the same system that now turned on her. Meanwhile, the two officers Malloy and Kessler were placed on unpaid leave pending investigation, but behind closed doors, their histories were laid bare. Complaints, unfiled body cam footage, and buried racial profiling allegations resurfaced. Marcus ensured none of it disappeared this time. Civil rights organizations joined the legal onslaught. Alana, still recovering, made a public appearance, with her husband declaring they thought I was invisible. They didn't see the law in me, but they will now. Court hearings began swiftly. The footage from the arrest was played frame by frame in federal court. Each insult, each false report, each moment of excessive force deconstructed by top prosecutors. The officers' attorneys tried to spin the usual line's threat perception. Protocol, but their words collapsed under public scrutiny. Then came the biggest twist. Marcus revealed that the DOJ had been conducting a pilot surveillance initiative on departments with elevated complaints of racial misconduct, and this incident had served as the perfect case study. They weren't just caught, Marcus declared in court. They were the test subjects of a system they tried to cheat. The audience gasped. The officers' superiors resigned. A citywide audit was launched. Months later, a verdict came. Down both officers were found guilty of civil rights violations, falsification of reports, and abuse of power. They were sentenced to 5 years each, stripped of all law enforcement credentials, and fined heavily. Alana didn't gloat. Instead, she used the settlement money to open the Pierce Center for Legal Empowerment, a foundation that provided legal aid and training to minorities across the country. Her story became a symbol not of vengeance, but of righteous justice. Schools invited her to speak. Books were written. A Netflix documentary went into production. And the officers? One tried to sue the DOJ, claiming entrapment, but the case was laughed out of court. Meanwhile, Marcus retired again, this time with peace, watching from their Atlanta home as Alana's firm expanded nationwide. She gave interviews, reminding Americans that one call can change everything if it's the right call backed by truth and justice. Across precincts, departments began adopting body cam patch systems like the one that exposed Alana's case. Policies shifted. Training was restructured. And though the fight was far from over, a clear message had been sent. Don't underestimate anyone, especially not a black woman who knows her rights and has the law behind her. This wasn't just a victory for Alana, it was a reckoning. And it all started with handcuffs and a single phone call. So if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this powerful moment, because voices like Alana's change the world when they're heard.